The only thing we've really been able to rule out is that she ran away.
While the FBI, police, and the sheriff's office continue their investigation, little Lindsey Baum remains missing, feared murdered after 8 long years. Her traumatized mom, Melissa, wonders why, and she soon recalls something truly ominous.
Less than 2 weeks before she disappeared, we'd watched the movie Taken. And when it was over, I remember her saying, "Gosh, Mom, does stuff like that really happen?" I said, "Yes, Lindsay." I said, "Why do you think I get so mad? Why do you think I insist on knowing where you're at all times?" I said, "Because there are horrible people in this world that do terrible things."
The disappearance of a child in McCleary in particular had a huge impact on that entire community. It literally took the innocence of that community and erased it that night.
The impact for Melissa struck far deeper.
It killed me. It's just like a constant ache in your heart that just doesn't really go away. It's just always there. Sometimes you notice it more than others.
Over the course of the investigation, how many persons of interest were developed and looked into?
At the height, we had maybe 40 people who would have the title of person of interest.
And as they look closer, police soon hear about something very strange.
There was 2 incidents in the week prior to her disappearing. The girls had been up at the park in the bathroom, and they said a man came in on them. But then he left and took off on a bike. The other incident was her and her friend had said that they thought somebody was following them, a man in a white car.
Surveillance tape from a local gas station shows a white vehicle matching the description close to the time Lindsay disappeared, but cops still can't connect any dots in the stalking story. And 2 men continue to pique investigators' interest. One, they say, was staying in a house near Maple Street where Lindsay was last seen walking home. Investigators aren't publicly naming him.
The initial conversation with him was that he had never left the house at night. He didn't know anything. He didn't know Lindsay, and that was the end of it.
But later, through witnesses and other evidence, cops would determine that his story was a total fabrication.
So he lied to us about what he did that night, and he lied to us about where he was at 9:30 on the evening of June 26th.
And a similar lie was also about to surface when detectives focus on a second man on their list, Tim Hartman, a local business owner who made a categorical statement to police during early interviews.
He denied being in McCleary during the evening hours when she disappeared.
If he wasn't in town, he couldn't possibly have been involved in Lindsay's disappearance. There was just one problem.
Would later find, again, video surveillance that showed that was not true.
Surveillance footage tells no lies. Hartman told police he was out of the area doing some training and was later doing an ambulance call out as a volunteer EMT. But the video shows Hartman in a store in McCleary making a purchase the day Lindsay disappeared. He leaves, heading toward Maple Street. His own shop is on the street where she was last seen.
He was in McCleary at exactly that time that she would have disappeared.
You searched his property as well. Tell me about that.
He was somebody who actually contacted Lindsay's mother that night and was helping her, actually had her in his car and was helping her look around areas that she knew Lindsay frequented.
Despite the questions surrounding his whereabouts, cops are not officially naming Hartman a suspect. Hartman has told local reporters he has no idea what happened to Lindsay.
He claims that he had nothing to do with her disappearance, that he merely forgot that he got back that early. He thought it was later than the video would show.
I know he's only a person of interest. It hasn't risen to a suspect at this point with the information you've gleaned, but it does seem odd, right?
It remains very concerning to us that he would appear to conveniently have forgotten the most important time of the day that we were certainly focused on.
Though police say Hartman was initially cooperative with the early investigation, they told Crime Watch Daily he no longer will speak with detectives. We wondered if he would speak with us.
Right behind me is the jewelry store that Tim Hartman owns. Now, to be clear, he's not a suspect, but his story doesn't line up. It turned out to be false. Now, is this just an unintentional memory lapse, or is Tim Hartman hiding something? We're gonna find out. He's coming.
Can I help you?
Hi, yeah, Mr. Hartman?
Yes.
I'm Jason Matera with Crime Watch Daily. We're investigating the disappearance of Lindsey Baum.
Yeah, thank you.
No, Ms. Hartman, you don't even want to know what we have to say? Seriously? Come on, let's go around. You can see him right there. Hey, he knows we're here. Mr. Hartman! We see you. Just a quick question. We want to get your response to our interview with the sheriff. Mr. Hartman, the night that Lindsey went missing, did you just have an unfortunate memory lapse, or were you hiding something? In our interview with the sheriff, he's mentioned as a person of interest. Again, he may have nothing to do with it, but just say, hey, this is why I made either a false statement to the police or a wrong statement. Instead, he wants to hide behind this door.
And that's where Tim Hartman stayed. However, he has told police he unintentionally gave them false information.
In his case, there were several things that proved not to be true with what he initially told us. That being said, there's no evidence to point to anybody's having any involvement in her disappearance.
Today, Hartman remains a person of interest in the disappearance of Lindsey Baum.
Whoever did this needs to understand that we're not going to go away. This case will remain an active investigation, and we're going to continue to work this until we find her and bring her home.
I imagine any parent has felt, at least for a moment, when you lose sight of your child in the grocery store, or they get lost in the mall, or they wander off in the neighborhood. That's been going on for almost 8 years. That feeling doesn't go away with time.
Lindsey disappeared at the age of 10. An artist provided this impression of how Lindsey might look as a teenager.
There's no one piece of evidence that points to an investigative path or scenario that says, well, we know now that she was the victim of a stranger abduction, or we know that she was the victim of an abduction by a family member or an acquaintance. We don't have anything that has allowed us to be that focused, and without that focus you can't really clear anyone with 100% certainty.
Wherever this pretty, brown-haired, brown-eyed girl is,
let it go.
She is long remembered by everyone in her hometown of McCleary.
What do you need to crack this case?
We need the hot tip to come in. We need the person who knows what happened to Lindsey to step forward.
And help relieve a mother who still longs for an ending to a tragic story.
Wish I could go back. The night that she walked out the door, I heard this little voice in my head saying, make her come back. And I didn't do it. And that's haunted me every day for 8 years. I have to believe that it's going to be solved. And if it's not in my lifetime, I promise I will hunt from the grave whoever was involved. If I have to follow them to hell to do it, I will.
There is a $35,000 reward for information that leads to Lindsey's whereabouts and for the arrest and conviction of the person responsible. If you know anything, you are urged to call 1-360-249-3711.